Joining us now, Joe DiGenova, legal analyst, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
Joe, we have the Daily Wire reporting that Mueller's final Manafort filings never mention Trump or collusion. Are the Democrats going to be disappointed and upset when Mueller's report finally does see the light of day?
Well, I think the Democrats are going to do anything they can to keep the issue alive, even though the Russian collusion phony argument has been completely disproved and unproved by Mueller. They're going to do whatever they can. They'll pass legislation. They'll try to get a subpoena. They'll litigate. They'll do whatever they can to get the report. The report, of course, is not sent to them under the law. The regulations require that a confidential report be sent to the Attorney General, and then the Attorney General decides what, if anything, to release to the public, because he can't release classified information and he can't release grand jury information. That, of course, will not stop the Democrats from grandstanding, but we shall see.
Yeah, Adam Schiff saying this weekend that he plans to sue the Trump administration, take this all to court, and subpoena Mueller to obtain this. What do you think of Adam Schiff's behavior of late as he watches the Russia collusion narrative fall apart?
Well, Adam Schiff is, first of all, he's a certified liar. He has completely lied about what the results of the investigation by Devin Nunes were. He has misrepresented those facts to the public. It's been a shameful display of political hackery by him. He apparently has been emboldened, as one might imagine, as a result of the Democrats taking the House because of the incompetent leadership of Paul Ryan and Kevin McCarthy. The Republicans didn't defend their president. They didn't fight, and now you have somebody like Adam Schiff chairing a committee because of the outrageous conduct of people like Schiff. By the way, on Saturday night, I was in Culpeper, Virginia, to speak to the Culpeper Republican Reagan Legacy Dinner, and in that room of hundreds of Republicans, there was palpable anger at the Republican leadership in the House of Representatives, and It was over things like this. Great bunch of people out in Culpeper.
You know, why don't they...
Mary, I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, why doesn't the leadership... Why don't they go after and demand that Adam Schiff recuse himself since he met with Fusion GPS founder
Mary,
Glenn Simpson?
I cannot hear you.
All right, let me ask you a question here then, Joe, if you don't mind. We've got 58 ex-national security officials who are writing a letter today. The media always goes crazy for this, media catnip. A bipartisan group of 58 former senior national security officials issuing a statement today saying there's no factual basis for the president to declare a national emergency to build the border wall. People like former Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, also former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, are signatories on this.
Well, first of all, this is a joint resolution which will be passed by the House and then sent to the Senate. Now, everybody needs to know a joint resolution is a law. In other words, it has to be signed by the president in order to go into effect. So he will veto it, and they will not be able to override his veto.
Now, in the Senate is the question. I saw Lisa Murkowski among the Republicans saying that she's going to support this resolution of disapproval. But
I think it may very well pass the Senate with 51 votes. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But if it does, he'll veto it. These are the usual suspects. Now, let's look at the list of signatories. Susan Rice, who was a co-conspirator in a plot to overthrow President Trump and undo a national election. Leon Panetta, who was the cowardly Secretary of Defense who was afraid to take on Hillary Clinton in Benghazi, and he allowed people to die at Benghazi because he was afraid of Hillary Clinton. Thomas Pickering, who wrote the disgraced report exonerating Clinton, with Mike Mullen. Madeleine Albright, the woman who refused to recognize she was a Jew and was an incompetent Secretary of State. Chuck Hagel, a fake Republican. John Kerry, a guy who is now undermining the United States, going to Iran. I mean, when you look at the list, these are a group of politicians, legacy politicians, who gave us a nuclear Iran and a nuclear North Korea. Wow, I really want to know what they have to think.
Yeah. Meanwhile, today, of course, they'll all be heralded as saving the country by objecting to the president's national emergency. I also want to get your reaction to the fact that Michael Cohen is set for 3 consecutive days of testimony this week on Capitol Hill. He's the former lawyer for the president, known as his fixer as well. We will get public testimony from him from the Oversight Committee on Wednesday. What are you expecting from Michael Cohen?
Well, Michael Cohen is a convicted liar. he pled guilty to a non-existent crime involving alleged illegal campaign contributions because the prosecutors wanted to figure out a way to embarrass the president, and he was willing to lie about it. He never said that he told the president anything he was doing was illegal. He just said, I told him it was wrong. I have no idea what he's talking about, since non-disclosure agreements are perfectly legal in the law, and they involve no violations of law. The president paid for these out of his own pocket. It did not involve a campaign contribution. So I have no idea what he's going to testify to. The guy's a liar. He's a screwball. He's obviously squirrely and a worm. But, let's see what he has to say. I really don't care. I think the American people could care less about Michael Cohen.
Yeah, he's one of the strange characters in all of this. But, of course, we'll get tabloid coverage of it as he testifies on Wednesday. Speaking of strange characters, you saw towards the end of last week, Roger Stone received an expanded gag order after he had encouraged people to donate to his defense fund by posting a picture of Amy Berman Jackson, the judge in his case, alongside what appeared to be a target reticle of some kind that was not over her head in any capacity. It was literally to the side. It was a part of some sort of logo. Anyway, the judge took it the wrong way, and he is now further gagged. What do you think of his case?
Well, the Roger Stone case is an example of drive-by prosecution. He is there because he made Bob Mueller's crazy Democrats on his staff angry. There's no reason to prosecute Roger Stone. This is ridiculous. I do think that what he posted was dumb and stupid and never should have been done, and I can well understand why the judge did what she did. But as far as the underlying case, this is an example of why special counsels are a very bad idea. Certainly a bad idea with somebody like Bob Mueller, who shows up at the office, doesn't do anything, and leaves it in the hands of a bunch of Democrats. I just think the Stone case is ridiculous. You'll notice there's no proof that he did anything wrong other than the allegations concerning these process crimes. By the way, I don't favor process crimes. Right. I think they should be prosecuted. But in this case, I find it hard to believe that everything he's accused of happened. But, he'll have a chance to defend it.
Let me ask you about Andy McCabe, who's been on this really long book tour. I think we talked about him last week with you just because of how long he's been going. Yeah, that's right. 60 Minutes was the prior Sunday. So Andy McCabe last week was detailing information about his conversations inside of the Gang of Eight intelligence briefings. Now, is that a violation of the law for him to be sharing information from inside of a Gang of Eight briefing, and could he face consequences for that?
Those discussions that he has had publicly are, in fact, violations at a minimum of his security agreement. They could be violations of the Espionage Act. Those briefings are at the highest level of classification. The briefings themselves are at the highest level. So therefore, McCabe discussing them the way he did by discussing the substance of what he told them is, in fact, a violation of the regs. It could be a violation of the Espionage Act. It could be a violation of mishandling of classified information. It could be a purposeful disclosure. Make no mistake about it. Andrew McCabe, by publishing his book and making these appearances, has in essence given the people a signed confession that he engaged in a coup d'etat, in an illegal usurpation of the functions of the Constitution and of Congress. This guy has done more to help the President of the United States by describing his unconstitutional illegal conduct than anybody in this sorry scheme. So I hope he gets sued along with Brennan and Clapper and Susan Rice and all the people who did the unmasking, the leaking, and the illegal violations.
Joe DiGenova, thank you. Talk to you next week, sir.
Thank you.